This one's called More Night. Concrete absences throwing twine in the book of unusable minutes. Sun lifting its broken arms like a dying thing, the center moving along time's cargo, archaic gauze, each individuated perpendicularity, amazed patchwork of veins where healing had words to unpick and kept its mouth shut, a genteel child in the cabin. Long haul. Year of trillions and the plane soaring into its wilding airscape, the farther out distances of carbon. Is this my airborne home I cannot outrun? These, our eyes focusing downward where God is just this once, yes, the origin of interiority from our lungs, starting a wind, and do you hear it? The ears in our chests, the past in each of us blistering, chapping, the pus arriving like snow sleepwalker of indecision. What is it we declare for small things, the sheer weight of something being looked at deliberately, persistently? Then the durational string pluck of turbulence, shearing prayer from the body's tarmac, the unpacking like an era that refuses to come to an end or begin again. Here, have more night, the mind says, and as if from nowhere, here, have more blue. Are you feeling too simple? Are you wanting the glazed lake of memory to shoot up for air and take more of you away back with it when it goes? Faces with wishes stitched across them like large quilts. And the sunset, even from this high up, tips down along the dark outcome of sky. Immeasurable beauty is immeasurable precisely until it's gone. Yeah, I would say that my poems are less narrative-y, and I'm really trying to lean into this kind of, this is also something that's really important to my choreographic practice, this kind of idea of atmosphere, maybe tone, which is different than voice. I recently came out to my mom. Thanks. And I'm reading this poem because it feels like a precursor to the next one, but this one deals with the maternal in a way, I suppose. The name of the poem is called My Mother Raised a Normal Man. My mother raised a normal man, then me. Any normal man cuts violations to his hairline, a master of bodily functions, say a sculptor. To his hairline he articulates, you will be exact, and if not exact, an enemy. At the barbershop, I'm silent. Plenty of shop talk, sports, women as sports. When I join in, they can tell I'm a fake. It's the way I enunciate. I remind them of their girlfriends, always offering another perspective on narrative. My mother's voice in my head, don't embarrass me, don't embarrass God. Such power to throw God into doubt, a rolled up tangle of dead follicles thrown to sky. Something a vacuum could disappear with ease. I let my boyfriend pull my hair out when we fuck. It's that good. It's counterintuitive, but it works. The scalp is sensitive. I forget I'm being split at the back end of a portal. His hair is silver. When I touch his head, I divine the future, even though both our minds are empty crystal balls. Don't embarrass me. Don't embarrass God. Embarrassment. I'm like a black sun. I'm bundling my hair into a ponytail as we speak. 5 years since I cut my hair. It's like a lover by now, full of leaving. When we're done, we sit on opposite edges of the bed, back to back like agitprop depicting politicians as equal. We're not leaders or equal. My hair's littered in the carpet like crumbs. He faces the wall. I face his writing desk. There stands a framed picture of him and his ex, who was black, who was bald. This one is one of those kind of like longer ones that the same ex who had a black and bald ex of his own is the same kind of person who floats in the negative space, I suppose, of this poem. It's called Chlorine and it's in 3 parts. Chlorine. 1. Haze. Reddened feathers lofty in the haze like unfurled tongues. Your tongues that had come wanting. Our relationship will not survive, you say, above a whisper. Disturbance 2, a type of illumination, a hologram. That's why there's moonset in the west and time, papery, crumpling, late rain snapping the ground in rubber bands trained on inveterate patience. Wind thinks ahead, distributes, unweaves patterns through ribs, then sinks formally as netted feeling, as faintly wished for dream. You, snivel antithesis, all laughs, all jingle jangle, closing the door, making riot of a new text an old friend had sent. I stared as research at the floor, carpeted with the strained arguments of metaphysics, of performativity, of translation, of Joan Didion on hermeneutical thinking. I have no memory of sirens. I have no memory of traffic. 2. What does it mean? Ha ha ha. Your friend intended to type bigger. She sent nigger. Autocorrect. Oh, apple. Ha ha ha. Haze. What did you say? Ha ha ha. She typed haze. What did you say? My breath running, wingless, desire, questions waiting like clocks without markers, cerulean love. I thought it was this, and it was the early paradise of subjection, the scene unchosen, drapes of bone, stripping the white under white, the white under black, brown, loudness, scream as the soul fissuring that wants to be summarized, to be remembered as intangible, therefore fragile, an inverted balloon encrusted with the hard stone of dailiness, weak like theory at the knees. 3. Days earlier, George Floyd. We wanted to protest. We didn't. You were ill. I excused it. You came home laughing. You came. I excused it. Perspective ran its tap through us. We were unrecommendable, were just media, actors whom history worked through its writer's block with. I loved you. I excused it. My vision was blurry. My contacts were in too long, too long. I ran out. The cost of being visible is being visible. Now, a fun one. This was called Siren for a long time, and now it's called Greek Lesson After Anal. And I thought my editor was going to change it back to Siren, but she actually on a podcast said, you know what? That's actually a better title. So this is Greek Lesson After Anal. Once a hookup described me as a siren luring him out to the ocean. He had the characters accurate but misunderstood gravely the vector of the dilemma. The sirens' beauty was to charm consciousness out from Odysseus so that he'd cross the bottomless sparkling pool he thought was pleasure, consciousness, and underground fetish rough sex can temporarily abate. Also, drugs. Also, crowds. If Odysseus was diligent, he could have an orgy of all three. What man in his right mind wouldn't? Then again, however much fucking can seem to intimate returning home inside another man, we were not, and never had been, the right men. Even thinking me Penelope was a stretch. I wasn't a wife. I possessed negative reasons to wait. Odysseus, sang the sirens, though what they really meant was leave your ejaculate everywhere but where you target. Do you see? Tying himself to the mast was virtue signaling. The sirens sung out towards that invisible part of him, what we now contemporarily call essence or urge. If you call me a siren, you are not being Lord. You are. If you come back, I am not a siren. I am that part of you. You will not harden. I'm having to make the decision between two of the long poems, so maybe I'll let you decide. There's one poem that's really like, I've never been skiing, and so it's kind of my imagination of what skiing as that, both? Are you sure? Okay, that's a really long endeavor. So I'll start with the skiing one, and then I'll do the other one. I think I'll finish there because that one's I think that's the last one in the aforementioned collection that feels as if it's always on this kind of never-ending horizon of futurity. There's a metaphor I've been thinking a lot of recently. It's by Jory Graham. The wild, unstoppable rumor of the soul. Ski. 1. Snow. Down the incline, quick slalom, quicker to be exhausted, goggles in the face, blocking ice, constellations up above, thick birds, fluttering starlight, totally dissipatable, dissolvable in the dark, true and liquid presence of night. Tree branches, swaying as though through time, its deficiencies, mortality could rise up and prick his sleeve. When he falls, he's embedded in the snow. The crucifixion, a conjugation into his next, his higher life. 2. Exchange my life, and for what? Of all places here, before the bitter complication of sky, dawn, whites, blues, these narratives I'd absorb if I could. Some things do not arrive. Be thankful. The snow is a skin. Inside it, violence and I, we go our separate ways. I'm no longer a child. My soul is not up for grabs, right? 3. Something with a clenched fist rising from a spiked field. Something with a clenched fist unknotting, giving up to openness. There's a well to fill. There's for throwing a red stone. There's a well to throw the red stone into, to fill it. There's a well, and it's the outline of a husband. There's a red stone to throw the outline of a husband into. There's a red husband, but you can't throw a well into a well. The spiked field is hungry. Throw the well between them into the spiked field. The spiked field throws into the well the red stone. The spiked field throws the red stone into itself. You try practicing war solo underneath. 4. There is an absolute absence pouring a wind between us like a blue fence. Grief, that rescues you, unspools you back into consciousness. That head, full of snow, bright, premature traveler. Dream me, good that you still dream. 4, 5. Rescue. Then the clamped pitter-patter of paws rearranging the flakes. Then the paramedics, as if they were always at hand, blares of red blue light rising, snow breaking, barking, the invisible conductor commanding the scene, return like a score to the outset, and his baton is infinite, is impartial, waving behind, the sky blur coming into focus, the freezing body restarting, a symphony of warmth, the gloves grabbing and lifting for a second in the surround, the eye which has been frozen shut peels open and the trees begin to shake off the shower. The dark becomes a different type of dark. The blood resumes its work of searching for openings into the world. Light of van, no. Light of ambulance, no. Of savior, of he whose will this can be only. And distance vanishes into yellow light and knees settle inches from the face and vehicle restarts and the soul, having not been completely revived, attempts the cadenza, lingers its smoke in the imprint, in the outline of your body that is already disappearing, melting, the dogs marching through it, the pens writing descriptions of absence, time hiding itself as the snow finds the first note and crescendos, and no one asks, oh, and this is a grace. What has happened here? And I'm just going to read this last one, which returns to this idea of the mother. I was just about to say thank you for listening, but I was really afraid you're going to start clapping, and then I'd have to go off. So we'll just leave it in that meta comment. 27 Ars Poeticas. 27 Ars Poeticas. And that's it. Yeah, this will be the last one. 27 Ars Poeticas. 1. The poet died. The speaker was happy. 2. The poet died, thus the speaker was happy. 3. However the poet died, the speaker was happy. What happiness was, the speaker could not decide for itself. 4. It needed the poet dead. The speaker wanted freedom, but settled for happiness as consolation. 5. Having accepted the death of the poet, the speaker, who was now happy, recognized there was nowhere further to go. What was written by the poet before death was its life. Change this late in the game was simply self-erasure. That's 20 minutes. Gonna keep going for the next 2 minutes. 6. But if self-erasure isn't violence, but if the speaker isn't happy, whether the poet is alive varies, a flash in a dark room of which the memory lasts brilliantly long. 7. The poet's brain is armed with meaning. The speaker, dropping its shield, admits whatever needs admittance. The speaker's not a scapegoat, but they disappear after too many shots. But if self-erasure isn't violence, the speaker is not living. 8. The speaker hasn't a family, but was born. Only it knows where it comes from. 9. The poet's death is a catalyst for happiness. While the poet is alive, the speaker cannot be celebrated. 10. This doesn't hurt the speaker. 11. Nothing ever hurts the speaker. 12. The hurt speaks. The speaker is a recurring attempt to poorly listen. 13. I think I just said that twice. Take, for example, Clytemnestra whispering after death about Orestes, I do not mean to cause him harm. 14. The speaker is an effort of pulling in opposite directions. The speaker cannot be canceled out, but it can say more than the poet intended. 15. She is a ghost. Her son is free to define happiness now. 16. Mothers write their sons. Upon death, this doesn't matter. 17. Happiness matters. The speaker can't define it. Speaking defines it. 18. The moment of dying is not the moment of death, though it is common to misconstrue this. If the poet wasn't dying, where would the speaker come from? 19. It's the dialectic of expression. After an extended period of cold, burns. 20. Cold is not real. 21. Absence is real. 22. The point is not to prolong dying, medicinal, or to forget the vector toward which all life goes, optimal. The poet cannot become the speaker because the speaker is not living. It's best to consider the poet as someone who's fallen into a large body of water and cannot swim. What happens then? That's the speaker. 23. I don't mean adrenaline. The speaker is not a latent superpower. 24. I mean, she does not mean to cause him harm. 25. What falls out of the pockets of what she means and what happens is love. By that logic, love is the delta between the poet's death and the speaker's continuance. 26. The poet knows not what continues. The speaker continues the poet. 27. The speaker can be happy about this. The speaker can be happy about anything it likes. Thank you.